Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and then welcome to the Power BI Masterclass Introductory class. My name is Jerry Polan. I'm the lead instructor. Let me guess you. I'm here to walk you through the path and give you an introduction into Power BI, Microsoft Power BI, so that we know what it really entails and then how does it apply to you as a data analyst. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to get real straight to business to tell you really what Power BI is really all about. So I'm going to give you some definition, then I'm going to give you some terms and all of that, and then we can move from there. All right. So without further ado, what exactly is Power BI? Power BI. Power BI actually is a collection of software services, apps and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated source of data into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insight. All right. So beyond just a visualization tool, Power BI is an app. It's a collection of software services, that other services that happens, and then it's a collection of apps or collection of connectors that work together to turn your source of data that you get from these sources, different ways, and then see how to like blend them together so that we can have what get the insights we're looking for. All right. So though your data might be in the form of an Excel spreadsheet or a collection of cloud-based and on-premises hybrid data warehouses, however your data comes from or however it looks like, Power BI lets you to easily connect to your data sources and then visualize them and also discover what's important and also help you to share with anyone or everyone you want. So that's where Power BI comes. So we usually call Power BI Excel on steroids now. So if you have an understanding of the use of Excel, then Power BI should be smooth. Or like, let's say it's going to be smoother for you to understand because Power BI is Excel, but is a more kind of like more, should I say, more technically advanced than Excel because it allows for you to do some very crazy stuff that make it more seamless, it's seamless compared to when using Excel to do it. All right. So let's move to the next slide now. Now I'm going to be talking about the part of Power BI. What are the parts? All right. What are the parts of Power BI we should be talking about? And then that we need to know. Part of Power BI. Power BI consists of several elements that work together, starting with these three basics. Now, this is something you should know as a Power BI developer, Power BI data analyst. Now, Power BI consists of several elements that work together, include one, a Windows desktop application called the Power BI desktop. There is the Power BI desktop, which is, I'm going to explain all of this. This is the most popular one, the Power BI desktop. And number two, we have an online software as a service, what we call SaaS, an online software as a service called the Power BI service, right? So we have the Power BI service, and also we have the Power BI mobile apps for Windows, so iOS and Android devices, as you can see here. This first one is the Power BI desktop, and then we have the Power BI service. Also, we have Power BI mobile. All right, so let's move to the next slide now. The part the Power BI is obviously talking about. Now, these three elements, the Power BI desktop, the Power BI service, and the Power BI mobile apps are designed to let you create, designed to let you share, and then allows for you to consume business insights in a way that serves you and your role most effectively. Right. So beyond these three, Power BI also features some two other elements. Apart from the three I've mentioned, we have some other two elements that you just need to know. We have the Power BI report builder for creating paginated report share in the Power BI service, and also we have the Power BI report server. It's an on-premises report server where you can publish your Power BI report after creating them in Power BI desktop. So all of these are just part of Power BI, which you have to know. All right. So now let's talk about how Power BI matches your role. All right. So how you use Power BI depends on your role in the project or in the team. All right. So other people in other roles might use Power BI differently. For example, you might primarily use Power BI service to view reports and dashboard. All right. If you particularly your own is just to use the Power BI service, remember that we have the Power BI desktop, we have Power BI mobile. Now here we also have Power BI service. Now, if you primarily your own use of Power BI might be to use the service to view report and dashboard. Now you have somebody who is like a colleague who is a number crunching, business reporting, creating co-worker, might be using Power BI desktop or Power BI report builder to create reports. Then publish those reports to the Power BI service where you view them. right? So your own work is also viewed while you have a colleague or a coworker whose business just to like he creates reports, all right, and he uses the Power BI desktop to create reports, all right? And then we have another coworker in the sales department who might mainly use the Power BI mobile app to monitor progress on sales quotas and also drill into the new sales and lead details, right? So remember, like I said, now, Power BI can also be viewed on the mobile phone, right? So you can have another person whose only job is just to be checking how the sale goes. He's just using the mobile app, the Power BI, the mobile version of Power BI to like monitor progress on sales quotas and also to drill into new sales and then sales lead details, right? And then also, if you're a Power BI developer, or maybe you have a developer, for instance, you might use Power BI APIs to push data into datasets or to embed dashboards and reports into your own custom applications, right? And now, if you have an idea for a new visual, you can build it yourself and share it with others using Power BI. So you can see that people, different users can use Power BI to suit whatever role they have in the team. All right, so let's also continue. Power BI also helps you you can use you can use each element of Power BI at different times, depending on what you're trying to achieve or your role for a given project. How you use Power BI can be based on which feature or service of Power BI is the best tool for your situation. All right. For example, you can use Power BI Desktop to create reports for your own team about customer engagement statistics, and you can view inventory and manufacturing progress in real time dashboard in the Power BI services. So you see two things here. The Power BI desktop is used to create reports, while the Power BI service is used to view the dashboard in real time. All right. And also you can create a paginated report of mailable invoices based on a Power BI data set. Right. Each part of Power BI is available to you, which is why it's flexible and very competitive use. So it's going to be a smooth ride, and I would like for you to just sit down and then have a good time while we like going through letting the ropes on Power BI. All right, so we just talked about how Power BI manages the role. All right, now when you now get to understand which part of Power BI should be most interested to you. All right, every other part of Power BI is good, but you don't need to master all of that because it's quite broad and quite all-encompassing. But at the end of the day, we're going to drill it down and then you know where to really focus. All right, now let's talk about the flow of work in Power BI. Now, how does work flow in Power BI? This is very, very important for you to learn because if you're going for an interview or something, then or just to test your expertise on the use of Power BI, then you should be able to understand the flow, the workflow in Power BI. Now, one common workflow in Power BI begins by connecting to data sources in Power BI desktop and building a report. Now, one thing you do is that the workflow starts this way. All right, you begin by connecting to data sources in Power BI. Now, data source has to do with different ways, different platforms, different places you are getting data from. When I getting data from the internet, I getting data from ACID database, I getting data from Excel now. So you start by connecting to these different data sources, all right? And then when you connect to the data sources, you now build a report. And then you publish that report from the Power BI desktop to the Power BI service, okay? So it is on the Power BI desktop that you connect to different data sources, and then you build a report there. And then you now publish that report from Power BI desktop to the Power BI service, and then you share it so business users in the Power BI service and or mobile devices can view and interact with the report. So the workflow is common, and it shows how the three main Power BI elements complement one another. So firstly, we have the Power BI desktop where you connect to different data sources, and then also you build a report there. And then you publish that report from the Power BI desktop to the Power BI service. It's in the Power BI service that you'll be able to publish your report, and then you can share it. You can publish and also share it so that business users in the Power BI service and on mobile apps can view, right? So you on the mobile app user can actually view the report, but you may not make any change to that, right? So that's how it flows. So that's that. I've talked about that enough. Now let's talk about the key thing, the Power BI desktop. This is the particular part of Power BI where the bulk of work lies. This is where you will be doing most of your work, right? It's kind of like a standalone. All right, now let me talk about Power BI briefly. Now, Power BI Desktop is a free application you install on your local computer that allows for you to connect to, transform, and visualize your data. All right, so it is the free version of it that is installed in your local device, in your computer, that where you do your connections, transformation, visualization of data happens in the Power BI desktop. So most times we talk about Power BI, the ones you'll be very, very familiar with is the Power BI desktop, because that's the one you have on your computer. All right, so with Power BI desktop, you can connect to multiple different sources of data and combine them. That's what we often call modeling. You combine them into what we call a data model, right? This data model allows you to build visuals, and a collection of visuals you can share as reports with other people inside your organization. So it is in the Power BI desktop. First of all, you can connect to different sources of data. Then you can create what we call data models now. So most users who work on business intelligence projects use Power BI desktop to create reports, and then use Power BI service to share their reports with others. So you can tell the difference between both, right? So if you are working on a Power Business Intelligence project or a data analyst or whatever you call yourself, you're going to be using Power BI desktop to create reports, and then you use Power BI service to share this report with others, right? Enough said. I think that's very clear. Now, let's move. Now, look at this is a typical Power BI desktop. This is a Power BI desktop, as you can see, the home and all of that. You can see home, insert, modeling. When we get down to real business, we're going to be seeing how this works. This is just a slide so that we can have is an overview of what's happening, or like Power BI. I'm doing that introduction. So this is just my slide. You can watch. So this is the Power BI desktop. This is a report that I've been created. All right, so having created this report can then be published here. You can see this is the published part, and that's where the Power BI service comes to play. So on the Power BI desktop is where you connect to different data sources. Then also you create your report like this, and then when you're done with that, you can allow it as a file to be in your local computer, your local storage where you can view. But if you want to publish it over the internet, publish it on the Power BI service is where you publish it. You click on the publish side. All right, so let's get down to this. So let's continue. Now, this is very important for you to know. On the Power BI desktop, let me go back again. On the Power BI desktop, you can see these three. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to be talking about the Power BI desktop views. There are primarily 3 views on the Power BI desktop. Now, there are 3 views available in Power BI desktop, which you select on the left side of the canvas. As you can see, this is the left side of the canvas. Let's go back. You can see it's also on the left side of the canvas here. You can see these 3 views now. Now, the first one is called the report. This is where you create report and visuals. You can see this is it here. This is where you create report and visuals. This is where most of the creation time is going to be spent. All right. So after the report view, we have the data view. The data view is where you're going to be seeing the tables, seeing measures, seeing other data, using the data model associated with your report, and then transform the data for best use in the report model. So we have the report view, we have the data view, and we also have the model view. So in the model view is where you see and manage the relationship among tables in your data model. So the following image shows the 3 views. I'm going to be showing the 3 views now. All right, this is it here, this image here. All right, it shows the 3 views as displayed along the left side of the canvas. So this is the first view here. This is the report view, the first one. We have the data view, and then we have the model view. You can see it's connection, right? All right, let's continue without further ado. All right, now let's talk about connecting to data in Power BI. Connecting to data in Power BI. Or like I said, this is just a slide show. We are going to be getting down to the real business. Now, to get started with Power BI desktop, the very first step to take is to connect to data, because of course you can do without data. So there are many different data sources you can connect to from Power BI desktop. Now, to connect to data, this is what you're going to do. So from the home ribbon, you get to select get data, then more, then you get data windows appears showing the many categories to which Power BI desktop can connect now. So when you get to get data like here, you can see different places, different platforms where you can get your Power BI. So you can see you can get data from SharePoint Online, this Microsoft Exchange Online, Dynamics, blah, 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 blah. You can also get information from Excel. If you scroll down here, you can see you can also get data from Excel, all of that, right? So this is what you do to connect data. I get to get data, and then the different data sources appears for you to select from. This, mind you, these are places where you already have data. So you can just go down and select and like mine the data out of that so they can use that for the creation of a report. All right. Now, when you select a data type, you are prompted for information such as the URL and credentials. Necessary for Power BI, there's also connect to data source on your behalf. Now, this is, for instance, you are getting this information from an SQL Server database. So you're going to be asked to give information regarding the server, the database as optional, and all of this information. That if you're getting information from where you are asked to put in your URL and credentials, and like that's what happens. It's mostly if you're getting information from a database, like an SQL database. That's why Power BI marries database like SQL, right? So you can get information data from Excel, you can get information data from SQL and all of that information. So Power BI is kind of like the go-between, the middleman that allows you to like the interface where you can get data from these sources and bring them into one canvas where you can mix and play with the great report. All right. Hope you understand that. All right. So let's talk about transform and clean data and also create a model. Now, after you connect to one or more data sources, you might want to transform the data so it becomes useful to you. Like most times, like in drumming, you cannot use a data that is not clean in your analysis. You have to make sure that that data is transformed, that data is worked on, and that data is good enough for you to perform your analysis on. So in Power BI Desktop, we can clean and transform data using the built-in Power Query Editor. Now, pay attention. It's what we call Power Query Editor. That is a place where you're going to be doing your data transformation. So with the Power Query Editor, you can make changes to your data, such as changing a data type. You want to change data type from, let's say, from an integer to a string, for instance. You want to change it from an integer to a string. You want to change it from uppercase to lowercase. You want to do all those things. You want to remove columns, extra columns, or you want to combine data from multiple sources. It's like you're kind of like sculpting the work now. You start with a large block of clay or data, and then you shape a piece of that data. What you don't need, you just remove them, and then until you shape the data and get it to be exactly what you want. So that's where the Power Query Editor comes into play. And you allow for you to like shape the data, to transform it, and then clean it to be of what you're really looking for. Of course, when you're getting data from these sources, you're going to be bringing data, the right data and the joins. So this is where you clear up the joins from the real data, and then you can now transform it to what you really look for. So to start Power Query Editor, go to the Home ribbon. In the query section, select transform data. The Power Query Editor windows appears, like you can see here, and then you can get down to business. All right, so let's move to the next thing. All right, hope we're together. All right, now each step you take in transforming data, such as renaming the table. Now when we get into the practical aspect of this, you're going to be observing something. Now that each step you take in transforming data, such as renaming the table, transforming a data type, or deleting a column, is recorded by Power Query Editor. Now I'm telling you this so that you get to know that, like looking at this right side where we have apply steps here, everything you do is recorded here, right? Everything you'll be doing will be recorded here. So every time this query connects to data source, these steps are carried out so that the data is always shipped the way you specify. Now, the following image shows the Power Query Editor window for a query that was shipped and turned into a model. Once the data is shown, once the data is how you want it, you can now create visuals, right? So like I said, the Power Query Editor part is where you do your data transformation, right? And each of the transformation you carry out is being recorded here, where we have the apply steps here. That we're going to see when we get down to the practical aspect of this. Okay, now, after you have a data model, you can drag fields onto report canvas to create visuals. All right. Now, maybe after everything, remember that we had we brought our data in, we've selected, we've transformed our data. When we're done, we now try to like start making some visuals. So this is when you drag some fields onto report canvas to create visual. So a visual is a graphic representation of data in your model. All right. Now, so you have a graphical representation of this. Is where you're making like kind of like graph, some chart or whatever it is. Like this bar chart. Now you can see. Now this one is not just come because of the data is already transformed and model. Now you want to create visuals out of this. So there are many different types of visuals to choose from in Power BI Desktop. So the following, this is just a simple column chart. All right. So that's just how it goes. All right. So Power BI has so many charts. I think it has more chart than Microsoft Excel. So this is where it becomes better than Excel, right? Because it has so many visuals, right? You can play with and you can do whatever you want to do. All right, create a report is the next thing we're going to be talking about. Create a report now. More often, you want to create a collection of visuals that show various aspects of data you've used to create your model in Power BI desktop. All right, now pay attention to this now. You've been able to gotten information from different aspects. You've brought them together. Now you want to really create a collection of these visuals that shows the various aspects of data you use to create your model in the Power BI desktop. Now, a collection of visuals in one Power BI desktop file is called a report. Please pay attention. Collection of visuals, collection of charts. Now we have one chart and we have different charts. Now a collection of visuals in one Power BI desktop file is what we call a report. As you can see here, these are different visuals here, different visuals here. This is one tab here. This is a report. We collected all these visuals together in one common, all right? This is one, everything. So here we have the overview here. That's just one. Okay, so a report can have one or more pages, okay? So a report can have one or more pages, just like an Excel file can have one or more worksheets, right? So now what you're doing here is called a report, which can have different pages, different tabs, as you can see, tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. So all these tabs have different visuals. Now, a collection of visuals is called a report. Remember that Microsoft Excel, we have collection of sheets. Microsoft Excel is called workbook, right? Or worksheet, right? So each worksheet, we have different worksheets that make one workbook, all right? So we call that workbook. So in Power BI, a collection of reports, a collection of visuals in one Power BI desktop file is called a report. All right, so in case somebody asks you to send your report, you should know what you're talking about. All right, so with Power BI Desktop, you can create complex and visually rich reports using data from multiple sources, all in one report that you can share with others in your organization. All right, so you can see from this image that the first page of this desktop is called overview. As seen in the tab at the bottom of the image and all of that, you can see that. So this is just a report that I've been created on that. Let's move to the next thing. Let's talk about sharing reports now. Now, after a report is ready to share with others, you can now publish the report to the Power BI service and make it available to anyone in your organization who has a Power BI license now. And the thing here is this, you can publish your report, okay? And now share it to other person that has a Power BI license. Only those who have that license are able to view your report or to see that report or be able to share the report or to be a part of the report about the share. So that's to say that for you to share report in Power BI, you should be able, you've been registered already and then you have a license. Now, if we're talking about sharing report, how do you share report? So from the select publish from the home ribbon, Power BI desktop connected to the Power BI service with your Power BI account. You must have opened a Power BI account. You cannot really share reports if you've not opened the Power BI account. Now, and then that's one. Number one, select publish from the home ribbon. You've selected publish here. And then number two, you prompted to select for the Power BI service you like to share the report. For example, you have a workspace or a team workspace or some other location on the Power BI service. Now, when you get to the Power BI service, after you've clicked on the publish, you're going to be having different places where you want to share the report. For example, are you sharing a workspace? Are you sharing a team workspace or some other location on the Power BI service? Is very important. You must have a Power BI license. Again, I must state it that you must have a Power BI license to share reports to the Power BI service. Okay, so we're making progress still. All right, now let me talk about what exactly is the Power BI service. Remember that I told you that the Power BI is broken down into three. We have the Power BI desktop, we have the Power BI service. I'll just talk about the Power BI desktop. That's the one that you download, you install in your local computer, and then you do your report with. You get different information, different data from different sources, and then you mix it into your report. And now, the Power BI service is what I'm talking about here. Now, Power BI is a collection of software services, apps, and connectors that work together to help you create, share, and consume business insights in a way that serves your business most effectively. Now, the Microsoft Power BI service sometimes referred to as the Power BI Online, is the software as a service, the SaaS, the SaaS part of Power BI. Now, this one is a software as a service. It's a service. Therefore, in the Power BI service, dashboard helps you to keep a finger on the pulse of your business. So that's where dashboards display tiles, which you can select to open report for exploring further. Dashboard and report connect to data set that bring all the relevant data together in one place. Now, difference between Power BI service, I'm going to give you an even elaborate difference between Power BI service and Power BI desktop. The Power BI desktop do not need an internet. You don't need internet. It's done in your local computer. Everything you connect to different sources of data and you create a report there. Now, while in the Power BI service, that is where you can share your report. And now your report in your Power BI desktop is called report. But when that report is shared, it is called a dashboard in the Power BI service. Please take note of that. I'm going to help you. Now, let's talk about the difference between Power BI and let's talk about, we're comparing Power BI desktop and Power BI service. This is very, very important. I know it's theory, but it's good for you to know this. All right, so now let's talk about Power BI desktop. Power BI desktop is an application that you download and install for free on your local computer. Now, the desktop is a complete data analysis and report creation tool that is used to connect to transform, visualize, and analyze the data. It includes the query editor, in which you can connect to many different sources of data and combine them, which is often called modeling into a data model. Now, when you design a report based on a data model, the report can be shared with others directly or by publishing to the Power BI service. Sharing report requires a Power BI Pro license. Now, like I said, every of the work you've done is in your Power BI desktop. But when you come to sharing that work, you need the Power BI service. In the Power BI desktop, you have the query editor, allow for you to do some editing, right? All right, let's talk about the Power BI service. Power BI service is a cloud-based service. It's on the cloud or software as a service, the SaaS or the SaaS. So it supports report editing and collaboration for teams and organizations. You can connect to data sources in the Power BI service too, but modeling is limited. Now, here's the thing here. For instance, now I have a friend who stays in America. I'm right here in Abuja. I did my work. I don't need to send the raw file, like I'm just sending like the file to him, my report as a file. I can just share my report. And then what is going to be seen will be a dashboard. Okay, I may decide to make it in a way that he can only view the report, what I've done, but he cannot make any editing. I am in control of what I've created, my report. My friend in America is only seeing my report as a dashboard. He can look but do not touch. I can make it so. I can also make it to be editable, right? So that if it was cut across many people that are working on the same project with you, okay, I send my report to the one in America, okay, it's okay, I want to edit this. You can add it and subtract, you can put in more input based on the report that I've shared to him. All right, so that's where the Power BI as a service works now. All right, so, but one thing about it is that the modeling in Power BI service is limited. You cannot do much of it, though you can connect to different data sources, but modeling is limited. Power BI service is used to do things such as creating dashboard, creating and sharing apps, analyzing and exploring your data to uncover business insight and much more. Your license determines what you can do with the Power BI service. So there are different licenses, right? So the more the degree of your license determines how much you can do. All right, how much you can do in the Power BI service. So don't get confused, don't get it twisted. As a beginner, just focus on your knowledge of Power BI desktop, and then the Power BI service will come. Another thing about the Power BI desktop is that it is paid. For you to get a license, you have to pay for certain things, right? It's paid, it's not free, all right? It's not free, right? So for now, as a beginner, just focus on Power BI desktop. When you work in an organization where, like a big organization, for instance, now, they have to pay for this, and then they can now give you license. That's where you now start sharing your reports among people in your organization. For now, don't think about Power BI service much. Focus more on the desktop part of it. All right, so I'm going to continue. We're making progress. Now, I'm going to be comparing Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service with this Venn diagram. I'm just trying to like compare both of them. All right, so this Venn diagram compares Power BI Desktop and the Power BI Service. And the middle shows some of the areas where they overlap. So there are some tasks that you can perform in either Power BI Desktop or the service. The two outside side of the Venn diagram show the features that are unique to each other, to either the desktop application or the Power BI service. Now you see that to my right here, we have left, we have Power BI Desktop. Power BI allows for you to get many data sources, all right? It allows for you to do some transformation. It allows for you to do some shaping and modeling. It allows for you to do some calculations, do some measures. It allows for calculated columns. It allows for Python. Yes, Python also works with that. It allows for creation of teams. You want a dark team, you want a light team, you want a brown team, you want a green team, whatever. Allow for RLS creation and all of that. And now, while the Power BI service allows for some data sources, not all that, so it's very limited, like I said. It allows for you to create dashboard here, right? So in the dashboard, you can only see, but you cannot touch, right? It allows for apps and for workspaces. It allows for data flow creation. It allows for paginated reports. It allows for RLS management. It allows for gateway connections. It also allows for collaborations. Now these are things that are independent. That's what they do on their own. That's unique to them. Now, how about the features that both of them allows? Do we see that both of them allow for report? Both of them allow for visualization. Both of them allow for security, filters, bookmarks, Q&A, question and answers, R visuals, right? For all that data analysis that use R programming, R visuals also is allowed. And then it also allows for sharing. All right, so that is that about that. So that's the comparison between Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service, right? So this is a wrap-up or an introductory class into Power BI, Microsoft Power BI. So now this is going to help you as a data analyst to know how you're going to use this in your analysis. So Power BI, again, in a nutshell, is kind of like a collection of services, collection of apps, collection of different things that allows for you to really do data analysis, perform it perfectly, all right? So people say it's called, so I said before, I'm going to say Excel on steroids. Now, it is advanced, kind of like a bit technically advanced than Excel. Should I say, yes, Excel is advanced, but it allows for you to perform some things that Excel on its own can. Now, what is the rival app? What other application rivals Power BI or looks at Power BI? We have Tableau. So as data analysts, you can either use Power BI or Tableau. Either of these two can help you. So for now, we are talking about Microsoft Power BI. So now I also mentioned that Power BI has Power BI actually has three different parts. We have Power BI Desktop, we have Power BI Desktop, we have Power BI Service, and also we have Power BI Mobile App side. So that's that. I don't want to go forth and back this video, but that's just an introductory. This is just an introduction to Power BI. We're going to get down to the business, and as we're doing the theory, and as we're doing the practical, we're going to be seeing how all of this will be played out. So guys, that's it for the introduction to Power BI. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a comment and also put your thumbs on. I know you like the video. I know you like the video. If you have any question, you have any reaction, just put in the comment section and I'll see that. Then we can work on this so that we can see how to give you a better experience in our class. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. See ya next time. My name is Jay Pullen.